When it comes to early retirement or the FIRE movement in general, many people assume you have to be a super high earner, but it's a myth that all people that achieve FIRE are six-figure plus income earners. My name is Frankie. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. But today I'm just gonna come right out of the gate and start delivering the tips because you saw the title. You want the info, so why delay? If you're on a low income and aspire to retire early or even just on time, here are some practical actions and money tips that you should be thinking about because anyone, yes, even you, can retire early if they get resolved about it. Number one, be allergic to debt. If you have to, pretend you're literally allergic to debt. True story, I once thought I was allergic to the cold. I built a narrative up in my head about it, and you should do the same when it comes to debt. You're allergic, stay away from it. Debt is the enemy of financial independence and the opposite of it, frankly. If you have debt, especially bad consumer debt, you are going to have to focus nearly all of your energy on eliminating it. Plain and simple. Chip away at those debts each week or month. Know your numbers, know the debts inside and out, and focus on the ones that are accruing the most interest. If you side hustle, use 100% of that side hustle money to crush that debt. If you want to become financially independent but you're on a low income, you must, number two, get started early. Get started doing what? Well, that's saving and investing, of course. And any amount helps. And that's because of the power of compound interest, where your money that you invest also earns money, and that new money earns money, and so on from there. Get familiar with compound interest calculators, run the numbers, and let the math guide you, because compound interest is very exciting and motivating when you first learn about it. If you only ever max out a Roth IRA that's $6,000 a year or $500 a month, and you started at age 22 with nothing, your money could be worth nearly $2 million if it earned an 8% rate of return while invested. Best of all, IRA accounts offer a tax benefit that you don't get with individual investing. But if you only saved $6,000 in cash a year, starting at age 22, that money would only be worth $258,000 at age 65. Yes, investing it over those 43 years means your money should be worth close to 8 times more than just saving it. That's powerful stuff, right? And I do have a whole video on investing made simple that you should check out next if you're just getting started and you need some help knowing what to invest in. Perhaps I should have put this next one first, but number 3 is to develop your money mindset and money mentality. Now, you don't have to obsess over money. If you're on a low income, money is already stressful, but be consistent. Develop an abundance mindset. Exude positivity. Watch my last video for starters to at least avoid negativity. It's your responsibility to look out for your personal finances and your future financial success, no matter your income. Nobody is going to do it for you. In fact, everybody instead wants your money. For the most part, they don't teach this stuff in school. Making it worse, talking about money has become taboo for some reason that I wish so badly we could fix. The good news is that there is a ton of awesome free information out there. There's technically now more than ever, no matter when you're watching this, I guess. If you're feeling down because of your low income, trust me, you're not out. Use this as a chip on your shoulder. Consider the odds of you achieving FIRE, and if you don't currently like those odds, work every day towards changing them. That's a positive mindset. Number 4, avoid name brands. Go generic whenever that's an option until generic just can't get the job done. I'm talking cereal, clothes, backpacks, lunch meat, and even finance YouTube channels that you subscribe to. I mean, I'm like the generic, much lesser known version of Graham Stephan and Andre Jick, but if only there were generic versions of houses and cars. Hold on. Are there generic versions of cars? Let me know some generic brand cars that you consider generic in the comments down below. Generic though is Kirkland Signature at Costco. It's regular instead of premium gas. I personally love H&M and even buy Amazon's generic brand clothes called Good Threads, I think it is. Whenever you can, make a small good decision and go generic to save a bit. Just do it. It's a great habit to build up now. And as long as you're not in high school, I assure you, nobody is judging you or cares. Everybody else is too busy thinking about themselves to notice your no-name casual shoes. As a bonus here, speaking of shopping and clothes, stop going shopping as a social activity. If you're on a low income, you must find affordable social activities. Shopping with friends is the opposite of that, even if you're shopping generic brands or a big sale, because buying things on sale isn't saving money, it's still spending it. The sooner you internalize that, the better. Number 5, take advantage of benefits offered only to people on low incomes. I'm gonna start with a concrete example that's currently relatively fresh: stimulus checks here in the US. There have been 3 rounds, and you know who didn't receive anything? People over $120,000 annual salary. Even for those over something like $75,000 or so, were phased out quickly on the latest round. But there are lots of programs to look for low income earners. My credit union, for example, offers to cover, I think, closing cost as a grant for first-time home buyers, but you're only eligible under a certain threshold. I think it's like $60,000. IRAs, that stands for individual retirement accounts, start to phase out at around, I think, $125,000 a year. I'll put the facts on screen. You're totally ineligible once you reach $150,000 annually. Not to mention the obvious, less income means you're in a lower tax bracket, which means you're gonna pay less in taxes. I'm not saying it pays to be a low income earner, although it kind of does, but there are some benefits and way more than these that I covered that you're gonna discover if you just do some quick research. Again, if you can think of some that I didn't cover here, drop them in the comments down below so that we can help one another. Number 6, participate in the new permissionless society. In my opinion, a college degree is no longer a prerequisite to join the middle or upper class. There are far fewer gatekeepers today than there ever have been because of the internet and the rise of the entrepreneur and online companies of one, which is sort of what I'm attempting to be. There's no longer any kind of singular path to achieving the American dream. In fact, the American dream looks so much different today than it used to because there are so many different paths to success that only a world of technology and easy to access free information makes possible. Our phones today are far more powerful than the first spaceship or whatever that landed on the moon. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Feel excited about how possible just about anything is for just about anyone that's willing to work for it. The playing field has been leveled, but you need to see and understand and appreciate that. And of course, take advantage of that. Or go into a ton of debt going to college like I did. To each their own, I guess. So those are some quick hitter tips and suggestions to be more frugal, but I did want to take a bit of a detour here for a moment and recommend a great blog article over on The Financial Samurai, which I'll link to in the description down below. It's inspirational because it's very real and very honest. And after I talk about it for a moment, I'm going to share 5 more tips that you can take away from it. No matter your situation, it's a great read because he breaks down how he lived in New York on a $40,000 salary right out of college. But because he made saving a priority, he was still able to sock away $12,000 a year. And yes, I did say he lived in New York. $40,000 there is like living in Austin with $16,500, as he points out. How did he do it? Well, he shared a studio with a friend, and that studio was just a 10-minute walk from work. They didn't have cable or internet because internet wasn't a thing then. Work offered free food, so he stayed on the clock until about 7:30 so that he could get a free dinner from the cafeteria and then borrow snacks in small boxes of cereal. His other big secret, it was that he worked a lot. And I say this often, but staying busy is one of the best ways to save money because you literally don't have time to shop to buy things you don't need. People spend money when they're bored. So if you have a job and there's an opportunity to work overtime, do that. There are more benefits to that than you think. If you add some hours to your 9 to 5 or pick up a side hustle, you obviously earn more money, sometimes time and a half. But he also decided against a nice apartment because he wasn't home often. And because he wasn't home often, his utility and electricity bill were often very low. And by living close to work, he didn't spend money on transportation. And yeah, it's kind of extreme for me to suggest that you just simply work more as a solution to your financial problems and share a studio, but perhaps you haven't thought of the pros beyond the obvious, which is, of course, more money. So I just wanted to call that out. If you're interested in learning about side hustles, I do have several videos on my channel about my favorite ways to do so, probably 60 or 70 ideas, I think, between these videos. So start with this one next. So I've sprinkled some tips throughout discussing that article, but the writer also presented a more organized list in the end. So these are his tips from somebody that went through it. Number 7, live in a crap box. There's no reason you shouldn't continue living like a college student for the first 4 or 5 years or so after college. If you didn't go to college, heck, consider moving back in with mom and dad. It's not glamorous, but you can save a lot and fast this way to jumpstart your savings or debt payoff. Number 7, work so much you don't have time to spend money. I've covered this one already, but the general idea is to do what others aren't willing to do. Put in more than 40 hours. Pursue a side hustle. Decide to get up 1 hour earlier and be productive with that hour in terms of making money. Read The Morning Miracle, by the way, if mornings are of interest. I love and recommend that book. I'll also link that one down below. But you have to set a new bar for you. If you want to be different and achieve something different, it's going to take work. Think about why you want to achieve FIRE and keep that motivation in sight and in mind. Number 9, don't confuse yourself with someone else. Essentially what he means by this is to stop playing the comparison game. Instead, learn from others who are doing things differently. That's why you're watching videos like this, I'm sure. So subscribe if you want more videos like this showing up in your feed. Number 10, make sure you're focusing on increasing your income year to year with your main gig. You need to make sure your main income is going up at least 3% annually just to keep up with inflation. If you're making the same money as you made last year, you're actually making less money because your money is worth less than it was before, even if it doesn't seem like it. Eggs, bread, gas, bus fare, all of that is going up 3% year to year without you even noticing it. Ask for a raise or make a point as to why you deserve one, or consider looking for a different, higher paying job. And number 11, kind of lost track, so call this a bonus. Remember, there's a really good long-term benefit to living on a very low income and scraping by. And this is a weird one as a tip, but here's my point. Once you know how to live with less because you had to, you understand you can live with less when you don't have to. Once you're forced to make extreme frugal decisions, or at least good decisions consistently, you're more likely to keep making good decisions and living with less when you're making more money. People who earn a lot right out of high school or college, they never learn to be as responsible with their money as they should be. So I know it's hard to consider when you're on a low income, but be grateful for this experience. Learn from what you're doing. Focus on good habits so that when you do have more, you'll keep even more of it rather than getting better at spending it. Focus on avoiding lifestyle inflation when you do start earning more. All right, final thoughts here. Overall, just keep going, keep fighting, stay positive. If you're not already, focus on becoming net worth positive and then scale beyond that. I actually dug out of a negative $75,000 net worth hole in a year and a half, making less than 6 figures. You can too. Now, always remember, financial success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. If you do this, financial success happens gradually, then suddenly. And keep seeking out videos like this one, because if you watched until the end, I suspect that you, friend, you're gonna be all right. If you wanna know more about how I dug out of my net worth hole, check out my first book, The Money Resolution, which is all about that story. And then check out my second book, Money You Can Hack It, for more tips and steps that I followed to go from $0 net worth to 6 figures positive. Best of luck to you and yours. My name is Frankie. Like this video if you got value out of it to let me know that value has been gotten. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this from me showing up in your YouTube feed. And I'll see you in a few days on the next one. Thanks.